saying that Dungeons is impossible to work with? No. But here's the thing. I think this is what Deepwoken excels at. Deepwoken has the ability to make PvP kind of align with its world building and lore, if that makes sense, right? And of course, overworld games, they were fun as well. But what do I mean by this, right? So I think even though Conquest is taking place, right? Even though Conquest is taking place and it's a separate game mode, I feel like by having that natural overworld feeling where like there's random shits that can occur and things can be a bit more crazy, I feel like that can add to a fight sometimes. Conquest will probably be a lot more. It's not gonna be as chaotic, I think, even though it's a team fight, and it will be, I think, enjoyable to have a team fight. But I feel like overworld gaming has that aspect of chaoticness, especially like what's it called? Like layer 1 ganks. And I feel Deep could really excel in that, but man, we just don't have that many opportunities to really see that shine. You know what I mean? That's why I think it was low-key kind of a miss that layer 2 didn't have any forms of PvP, because that's a brand new environment that you can kind of craft and make PvP diverse and different in, and see people bring different stuff too, bro. That would have been so interesting. In my opinion, this is what I think. Okay, this is what I think. Final talk for layer 2, and then we get to the good stuff. Okay, yo, what's good, Fino? Fino, what do you mean? What am I eating? What is this? We got melon, cantaloupe, blueberries, and grapes. That's a feast. That's good. But this is what I'll say. Final talks on layer 2. Okay. This is me being honest. So there's a lot of aspects where I feel like layer 2 could have continued its length. But what I think should have happened, this is how I would have perceived things, would have been crazy. This would have been the layer 2 that's lore accurate, hardcore, would have kept people at it for a good bit longer, in my opinion. The PvE is a lot more intense. PvE is a lot more intense, right? You have bosses with not just 4 attacks. I'm sorry, Chaser it's not it. Being honest, Chaser is not it, man. Chaser is really not it. I think there could have been a lot more interesting things done with blood. Blood. Think about that, bro. Motherfucker could have blood bended you towards him and then hit you with a strong left, but it could have been a lot more diverse attacks, being real. Okay? Second off, the diversity in terms of mob amount and variety, lacking, being real. Lacking. 2 big monsters in floor 1, 2. So it's like a coin flip. You either run into Bonekeeper or Bounder. I feel like at least 4 to 5 would have kept it a bit more interesting, and you could have combos between 2 of them. But guess what? When you fight, the only combo is Bounder plus Bonekeeper, or like Bonekeeper and a fucking what's it called? The carbuncles, right? Meanwhile, in layer 1, you could be fighting like Owl and the new fucking mob. That's a dangerous combo. Owl plus like a King Thresher that's corrupted, dangerous. You know what I'm saying, right? More situations that you can run into compared to floor 1, and then floor 2 especially. To be honest, it's really just Ice Sniper, Brute in the shit, and then only the invisible guys in the bottom, and maybe you only see all 3 of them when you do the wave defense. That's it. So not only that, but then layer 2 on top of that, same thing every time. Lack of diverse mobs. Bosses aren't as intense as they could be. They could be really, I feel like they could be a lot more intense. Pulled the punches a little bit. Lacking in move variety. Layer 2, right, is still pretty good, right? I think it still does its job well, but I think it could have been done it could have been peak. It's good, but it could have been peak. You see what I mean, right? It could have been peak. My opinion, this is what I think, because this is the main thing as well. A lot of people will be like, Agamatsu, if the PvE if it was like intense and hardcore, it'd be annoying to farm because it takes too long to do it, or you'd be wiping too much to do it. In my opinion, if it really was that difficult to where they need to, people are like, oh dude, it's impossible to be layer 2. Increase the rates. Increase the rates of the rare shit. If it's hard as fuck to complete the shits, then I think it's fine for something to have a 15% drop rate instead of a 1% drop rate. Point is though, right? They could have crafted fine ass PvE, and it'd probably have to be a complete redesign. But if they could somehow incorporate PvP into that some way, That way there's like a balance, because at the moment you really only go into layer 2 with PvE builds, being real. Why would you go in with PvP? Then, but what they could have crafted was you have to account for both. Going into layer 2 is a dangerous journey that has great rewards and high chances of getting what you want, but there's also the risk of running into players who are malicious and are not trying to help or trying to kill you, or the PvE just wipes you. But I feel like all that's been lost. I feel like the lore, it feels like that's how it should have been, but it feels so watered down compared to what it describes in the lore, right? Yes, I'm trying to yap because this is really my honest feelings about it. I really wish it was like that, though. I really wish it was something that you actually have to prepare for, and maybe even consider, like, you know what I mean, crafting a build specifically tailored to doing PvE and accounting for PvP invasions. I feel like that would have been way more peak and a lot more memorable. A lot more memorable. Layer 2 lacks memorability. What do you remember when you do layer 2? Maybe the first time you killed Chase on Etheron? Maybe. But layer 1 has that PvP aspect with PvE that can make those like situations a lot more interesting and memorable. Running into PvP during Hell mode. Remember fucking that always AFK. Remember his fucking purge week? Layer 1 was scary. Motherfuckers remember that. You can't do a layer 2 fucking purge week. You see what I mean, right? Most you can do is sneaking into groups, but that's just being petty, bro. Versus purge week, remember when always AFK shit got ruined in layer 1, bro? Ganks in layer 1 are always fuck. See what I mean, right? The level of intensity is so much different because I feel like layer 1 has a lot less punches pulled potentially. Even now though, you can just jump into the void if you're above half, or just log if you're in PvE combat. So that's one thing I think. I really hope that Deepwoken kind of gets back in whatever way, right? Because I think a lot of people really did fuck with the fact that, and what I will say before I go into that, I know that Deepwoken is a lot more casual based now, which is fine. Yeah, it's fine. That they're making it easier every week. They're making it easier for the newer players to come into the game. But I feel like at this point, we've had a good amount of, I feel like even now, there's been a good amount of things that kind of ease players potentially into the way the game is. Maybe a few more things here and there, touches are here or two. But at this point, bro, I feel like the old players are kind of wanting something they want to feel. I feel like a lot of people want to feel in Deepwoken again. Making a build, we've done that so many fucking times. Fighting in Chime, even overall ganks, done that so many times. That's why I think Deep really needs some shits that amps it up a little bit. Amps up the intensity, amps up that potential emotions that you can feel in the shits. It might not be a hit though with people at first though. But I feel like it can at least be memorable. Even Diluvian, which you could argue is a poor example of what they could really do. I mean, it's one room with a bunch of mob spam, being real. But at least that, you see what I mean, right? That at least had people talking, at least people trying something new, something people were actually like thinking about. There was complaints, sure. But you guys understand what I'm saying, right? That's why I feel like, yeah, Diluvian really is Void Tower at home. I mean, even in Diluvian, there's no forms of PvP that can occur. And everything's the same even Diluvian, everything besides the new monsters being thrown in is usually the same every single time. I feel like once Deepwoken gets back on that roll with some either layer 3, Lord forbid, layer 3, or some new game mode. It can be a game mode 2 like Void Tower or whatever. If they manage to bring back that chaoticness with strong PvE that even top tier players are having tough times reacting to at first, I'd rather shit come out too difficult and then they tone it down a little bit than it come out too easy, because they can't raise the difficulty once the shit drops too easy. You know what I mean, right? But anyway, point is, right, I'd much rather them drop the shits like crazy at first, where people are like, wait, what? How are you supposed to do this? Versus something that's like, meh. And I feel like a lot of people are having that meh mentality with Conquest, being real. How many of you guys, when you hear Conquest, you're like, meh. But then you hear the rewards, you're like, okay, rewards. You know what I mean, right? Like,
If y'all enjoyed the video, make sure to go click on these other videos, man. And I'll see you guys later. Peace.